Tyler Mathews against Connor Hurst. Tyler Mathews playing that Iron Valiant EnteiV against Connor Hurst playing the Roaring Moon EX. This should be a very interesting match. We haven't seen Iron Valiant EnteiV on the stream just yet. I believe Tyler might be the only one really in the top tables with this deck. Very interesting deck for sure. What do you think of the matchup, Jeremy?
The matchup's going to be kind of interesting because Roaring Moon, one of its big things is that Frenzy Gouging attack, dealing 200 damage to itself to take a knockout on anything. But if Tyler's able to just get some damage in play with those Tachyon bits, you can kind of prevent that prize swing pretty easily, and then you have EnteiV to just deal heavy amounts of damage early, and then of course there's always that meta champ V.
All right, looking at the pricing right now, Tyler Mathews pricing 4 switch cards. I mean, this is a deck that plays, what, almost 12 potentially?
Exactly 12.
Oh, exactly 12. So the 1/3 of the switch out options prize at the moment, while Connor prizing a multiple like one-of cards, so nothing too crazy there. An Earthen Vessel, Town Store, and Energy Switch cards you have multiple copies of, so Connor should be able to play the game, that's for sure. And but again, it's going to be interesting. Hopefully Tyler has enough switch options to really put down the damage for those Tachyon bits. 40 on a Roaring Moon, that means you can't Frenzy Gouging. I think that might be the goal here as we do start the round. I believe Connor is going to start us off here. Does open up with the Squawkabilly EX. Again, great Pokemon to set up. As long as it's in the field, you don't have to play it. As long as it's in the field and it's your first turn, you get to Squawk and Seize. But even better than that, we are opening up with the Battle VIP Pass, the most powerful card in the game on the first turn of the game. As we do see, he's eyeing out maybe the Moltres. Oh no, it's going to be possibly the Roaring Moon and the Greninja. What do you think the ideal start here for Connor?
Really, so both of these players, again, want to go second. So to me, it seems like Tyler won the flip, opted to go second. Starting with the Squawkabilly is going to be pretty good here, but it also depends on what Connor has in hand. If you want to get rid of those resources, or if you just try to dig potentially to get as much of a setup as you can before Tyler can start getting those bits going, get the attacks going. Having that Radiant Greninja as soon as this turn 1 allows you to get those Dark Energy in the discard, so you can utilize your Dark Patches, and then potentially your Galarian MoltresV and your Professor Sada's Vitality for next turn.
Definitely. Unfortunately, Roaring Moon is a deck that likes to go wide. You have a lot of support Pokemon you want to pull up. Is there any world, though, that Connor would like to maybe try and mitigate the damage from Burning Rondo, maybe try and make the Squawk survive a turn?
Yeah, that's really going to be interesting to see, and we do see the Ultra Ball discarding Mew EX, which is a good play in the deck, especially kind of this turn where you can restart, draw some more cards, Squawk and Seize, draw some more cards. But again, it is a liability on your bench with that Burning Rondo. Does 20 plus 20 for every bench Pokemon. So once you get a full bench, that's 220 damage. That knocks out pretty much everything except a Roaring Moon.
Definitely, as we do see an Escape Rope being played here. Connor technically playing the first switch of the game. Wouldn't be surprised to see, yes, the Radiant Greninja go up on the board. I'll go up to the active. It's good to have that single prize Pokemon in play as Professor's Research is now played, refreshing the hand, drawing. Oh no,
it's the Squawk. This is turn 1.
That's right, that's right. That's almost the same effect, drawing one less card there. Does have a couple of energies, the Pokestop. It's going to be the concealed cards here, drawing 2. That means there's energy in the discard pile. Dark Patch, Galarian Moltres, Dire Flame, Wings should be able to work here. A lot of options, but what do we play? As, again, look, I have the energy in the discard pile. Could be the Dark Patch now. It should go onto the Roaring Moon. Again, does require 3 energies to attack there.
Yeah, this hand's interesting because it does look like Connor's trying to play around that Burning Rondo, just as mitigate as much damage as possible. You see Battle VIP Pass in hand, but he might not play it. And yeah, it's crazy to think about. You have one of the best cards going on your first turn, just not even playing it. You're like, I don't need more Pokemon right now.
The restraint here you have from Connor sometimes. You see it, the minute I see that little ID tag, it's so tempting to just slap it down and just get even more Pokemon. But again, the restraint, the discipline to say, you know what, there's something I need to play around. And let's do that as we do move on now to Tyler Mathews. Tyler Mathews using that Ultra Ball, discarding the Bibarel and a switch card. Opting to Squawk and Seize themselves. Again, very powerful card for these really turbo decks, right? These are both decks that can hit on turn 1. hit those big numbers for sure, but it does need a little bit of support from a Squawk and Seize. As just going through the deck now, definitely doing a little bit of a deck check. And yep, drops the Squawk. What else do we have? They have an Iron Valiant in hand at the very least.
Yeah, you see that Spiritomb in hand. That could be good at shutting down that Dire Flame Wings from Galarian MoltresV. But you do lose your Fleet-Footed from EnteiVs, and for the foreseeable future, if that Spiritomb hits the board, it's going to stay there pretty much all game.
That is true, as we do see the escape rope now being played. Big card here for Tyler. Connor now is forced to promote a 2-prize Pokemon and opts for the Roaring Moon, since Roaring Moon does have 230 HP, a little bit harder for Tyler to really hit, as does go for the Tachyon bits again. Once the Iron Valiant hits the active, he gets to put 2 damage counters anywhere they want, and it's going to be the Squawking Seas opting to discard the Spiritomb, because they really want to draw some cards with the Fleet-Footed. Something of note, I don't think there's any Fire Energies yet in the discard pile.
No, yeah, just drew the first one of the turn, and this hand off Squawk and Seize looks a little rough. There is that Battle VIP pass, but there's not much you can really get to help progress your board this turn. I guess you still have to retreat into the Entei Fleet-Footed. Remember, no supporter has been played just yet, so Tyler still has that option if he finds one, but the way he's built this list, it's definitely a little bit different than we've seen traditionally in the past for an Entei Iron Valiant list. Is playing that 1/1 B-Barrel. Did discard the B-Barrel for that first Ultra Ball, but it's an inclusion where you kind of know that you're going to need that draw power later on in the game.
That is a fair point, Jeremy. A lot of the times when I see the Iron Valiant lists, they just want to go hit hard with the Entei, maybe not think too much of the late game scenarios, just really try and get those Tachyon bits. But you have to remember, most of your deck are switch cards. These aren't live cards.
Oh, there is a research in hand. My mistake. This hand's actually fine. You do have to discard a double Turbo Energy, but you get a Fire Energy in the discard, and this research is going to give you 7 cards, hoping for a Magma Basin.
Do we find it here? Magma Basin, again, a stadium able to attach.
3 of them.
Oh, that definitely found it there. All right, Magma Basin able to attach Fire Energy from the discard pile, with the downside, though, of putting 20 damage on that Entei. Is how much damage are we doing at the moment?
So full bench with that, it's going to be 180, thanks to the 3 bench Pokemon on Connor's side of the board. Fleet-Footed is going to allow an extra card draw here, and that's going to put this Roaring Moon at 30 HP left.
I believe with the double turbo should have 20 more.
Oh, 20 left, yeah. So 50 HP left, which
it's
still is fine. And with the stadium in play, that means Calamity Storm is going to be able to take a knockout on this EnteiV thanks to that 20 damage from Magma Basin.
That is true. But again, just because the damage on the Roaring Moon isn't quite knockout, I'm sure Tyler can find a way to do a couple of switch cards with those Iron Valiants to eventually take the 2 prize, hopefully in between turns here, as Connor actually going to bump the stadium for the Pokestop. And we're going to be spinning here. We're going to be playing some Pokemon Go. Are we going to find anything? 1 Dark Patch. That's not too bad. We do lose a boss's orders. Losing supporters does hurt a little bit. Dark Energy you do want in the discard pile for those Dark Patches and Dire Flame Wings. I don't see a backup Roaring Moon, however.
There is an Ultra Ball in hand, so you can Ultra Ball discard that Battle VIP pass that he chose not to play, along with maybe something like that Pal Pad, maybe that Switch Cart, but you can also kind of Switch Cart, heal off a little bit. It's one of those very good cards in this matchup.
That's true. Something of note as well, the hand is looking a little bit thin. Connor decided to discard the Mew EX very early on. Do you ever gamble here and use concealed cards? That's the lone Dark Energy in hand, and potentially miss the knockout. But we're going to do an Ultra Ball here. Is going to find another Roaring Moon. What would you do in this position, Jeremy?
Yeah, it's definitely a tough decision. Can't even use the switch card because you don't really have a pivot. I think you just have to attach the energy to the active, take the knockout, but there is a lot of hits in the deck that you can get off the concealed cards to still be able to pull off an attack. There's more Dark Energy, of course, but there's Energy Switch, and
Seda would be
Professor Sada's Vitality as well. Honestly, any supporter.
But yeah, it's very tempting. This energy is the world, Connor. This is the attack for turn. It's potentially a draw.
I guess you can switch cart into, or no, the switch cart was discarded, yeah. Could have switched cart into the Galarian MoltresV, grab an energy with Dire Flame Wings, retreat with the Dark Patch attaching to the Roaring Moon. That would be a way to get it without having to attach the energy from hand, but it'll be interesting to see if Connor does conceal the cards here.
As we do see a Pal Pad being played now, shuffling in the boss's orders and the professor's research into the deck, making the deck just a little bit more consistent. A little bit, we have more live draws now. That is for sure, as Connor's just shuffling up. I'm so curious, that one dark energy, I wonder if we gamble, if we use the concealed cards, because again, the hand is a little weak. Do we take the risk here? But we do guarantee a knockout. And as we do see a Dire Flame Wings now attached to that Moltres, is going to attach the energy to the Roaring Moon. And it's going to be a knockout.
Calamity Storm discards the Stadium, 220 damage. Thanks to that 20 damage from the Magma Basin. EnteiV gets knocked out, and Tyler's going to have to pull together another attack this turn, but with a third Iron Valiant EX maybe, could just take the knockout on the Roaring Moon without attacking. That would be ideal.
Looks like Tyler here is going to opt to promote the EnteiV first. Again, while EnteiV is the active, Fleet-Footed is active. Gets to draw one extra card. It's a matter of how many switch cards does Tyler have in his hand. Are we going to be able to take a knockout in between turns, as Ultra Ball is played here, finding... Is that a Moltres?
So yeah, Moltres is a great addition for this deck because you don't really have a one-prize attacker outside of Radiant Charizard. Moltres with its Inferno Wings, the 20 damage from the Magma Basin charges it up perfectly. 90 damage for one energy. That's pretty good, but here we're going to see that Iron Valiant maybe. There is an Escape Rope and a Switch in hand for Tyler, along with a Future Booster Energy Capsule. So I believe with all those, and the 3 Iron Valiants can take the knockout on the Roaring Moon.
Again, that's going to be a knockout in between turns potentially, but is going to opt for the Moltres. And Moltres, it's funny to see Moltres against Galarian Moltres on the other side of the board. Not something I expected to see in this tournament, to be honest. But again, opting for the Moltres with the Inferno Wings. Could just be going for...
Yeah, it's definitely interesting because with the cards in hand, he did have the knockout before even using an attack this turn. Mm-hmm. We'll have to see what Tyler's line of play here is.
Looks like he is going to drop the Moltres and just going to go ahead and use a Magma Basin to be able to attach, as well as put that damage that is needed for the attack. And it's just going to be a simple switch into one of the Iron Valiants. Question is, where does this damage go? Looks like it's going to the fresh Roaring Moon.
And this will help with the prize mapping with Tyler against Connor. Connor taking those 2 prizes on his first turn. That means he's going to need to kind of work around this Moltres. Otherwise, it's just another attack to try to be able to close things out.
Big play here. I think Tyler is opting not to play a supporter for the turn, so that Connor just leaving them with 2 cards. And back to Connor. Let's see what he decides to promote. Could attack here with the Galarian MoltresV. Again, Galarian MoltresV can power themselves up, but it also damages themselves with the Aura Burn attack. Has double energy switch, a Stadium. Could find something like the Forest Seal Stone here, potentially.
Yeah, that's the only out this hand really had. So Connor's lucky he has that Town Store. Be able to search for that Forest Seal Stone, attach it to that Galarian MoltresV. From there, you can just Star Alchemy to try to find Professor's Research, Professor Sada's Vitality. Probably going to be a research turn. You can even grab, I guess, if you're feeling lucky, grab the boss's orders, take the knockout on the Squawkabilly, and then hope to clean things up with the last Roaring Moon, but I don't know.
That would be tempting indeed, because right now, taking a knockout on something like the Moltres doesn't feel too good, but we do know, even after this research, what does Connor play?
Pokemon Catcher.
Yeah. That's going to be exciting. So if they could try and draw into one of the Pokemon Catchers, potentially be able to use a supporter as well as Gust. But again, it's a matter of what we draw into after this research, as Dark Patch first is going to be played onto that Roaring Moon. And again, there's double energy switch. Not quite sure you use that right now, because the only way to retreat the Moltres is to hard retreat it with the 2 energy in play. And
it's actually interesting that we're going to see that here.
Just fully committing. Just to be able to use the Dire Flame Wings and use the energy switch right now. So all we're missing is an energy attachment for turn to be able to take an attack, to be able to attack with the Roaring Moon. So I'm not too opposed to that, as we do see the Professor's Research now being played.
But he did have the knockout already with the Galarian MoltresV. Dire Flame Wings wasn't used just yet. And it kind of forces you to draw in energies. Granted, Connor did draw 3 of them, but you're still putting your Roaring Moon at harm's risk in the active spot.
And we do see now a concealed cards with one of those energies. If I saw correctly, there is a Pokemon catcher in hand, but we're going to go ahead and use this Trekking Shoes first, opting to discard the Morpeko and drawing into the second Galarian Moltres. Actually, that's what I was thinking. Maybe they were opting to protect the Galarian Moltres just because it is a very good support Pokemon to be able to get those energies, but they did have a second. So I'm with you with that, Jeremy. I would have loved to see just an attack with the Galarian Moltres, as we do see the Pokemon catcher now being played.
Flip. Heads. All right, so with the Roaring Moon EX, now this is the best case scenario, what you wanted to do, right? If you're going to attack with the Roaring Moon, you're going to want to attack against something that's 2 prizes. So bringing up this Iron Valiant EX, going to be a quick KO here.
Yes, again, and with the stadium in play, that means Calamity Storm is doing 220 damage, just enough. We don't have to Frenzy Gouge and keeping our HP on the Roaring Moon. And with that, Connor is technically 1 attack away from winning this game, but Tyler Mathews does have a lot of options on their board, especially with the Radiant Charizard.
Yeah, again, you're just still trying to play that 1 prize attacker swing turns, and Radiant Charizard is one of the best options to do it. You can just take a clean knockout, especially with that Excited Heart ability, lowering your attack cost down to just 1 fire energy with Connor taking 4 prize cards. But again, looking through the list, there's 2 Iono, and that's going to be the card you're going to try to need to disrupt, and Tyler was saving it last turn for this scenario specifically.
And again, I have to reiterate, Connor did discard the Mew EX. That is your safety net against those Ionos, but by playing around the Entei earlier in the round, we don't have access to the Mew, unfortunately. So this is going to be a very, very painful but important Iono, as Tyler Mathews is going to go ahead and use the Earthen Vessel to find themselves 1 extra fire energy. I had to guess it's going on to that Radiant Charizard or the Entei, as you use the Magma Basin to attach to the Radiant Charizard potentially. We'll have to see here. By playing the stadium, you are putting a stadium there for Connor to be able to use Roaring Moon more effectively. But that's an extra energy on board. As Fleet-Footed now being played, draws into the Research. But again, I think you're right. It has to be the Iono for the turn. Is going to be the switch card there going into the Iron Valiant. 20 damage. Where does it go? Onto the Galarian Moltres.
Yeah, and with the Magma Basin here, you can get the energy on that Radiant Charizard and then attach the energy from hand to the Entei, just saving that 2 damage counters from potential Calamity Storm the following turn, or even just attaching from hand to that Radiant Charizard.
And as we see here, big Iono, Tyler Mathews draws 4 cards, while Connor draws 2. I believe the most ideal 2 cards Connor could find would be Dark Energy and Boss's Orders, just to close out the game. But it has to be those 2 specific cards. As we do see here, draws 4, draws 2. Tyler
we found
has
all the
everything
switch effects.
I did see a Boss's Orders in Connor's hand.
Ooh, okay. This is going to be big. There is still maybe 1 to 2 energy left. There's that Professor Sada's, but you're not going to be able to play that. There's no ancient Pokemon in play. So it needs to be energy off the top of the deck if Connor promotes this Galarian MoltresV.
Yes, this is going to be very big. Again, it's this decision right here on what Pokemon to promote. It could be the difference between winning and losing. You could promote the Radiant Greninja, maybe buy some time, or just believe in the deck and draw into that Dark Energy. Hey, you know what? Energy is the card we play the most of. So odds are...
Well, there's a lot in the discard, but I like promoting any way you can retreat with the Dire Flame Wings, but big card off the top, Trekking Shoes.
Trekking Shoes.
Spin the wheel again. Dark Patch, nope, that's not going to do it. You got to discard it.
That's an energy on the bench. So, yep, here we go, big draw.
Ooh.
Asada, again, cannot be played. No, they could still use a Boss's Orders right now, but I think leaving the Radiant Charizard in the active, technically it has to switch out to be able to attack. But hey, Tyler Mathews is playing quite a few of those.
Yeah, 12 copies of effects that switch the opponent's active without retreating, or switch your active without retreating. Looking at the hand for Tyler, has all of those there. Got him from the prize cards, got him from the Iono.
I can't help but think now, again, as the previous turn where Connor did manually retreat that Galarian Moltres, paying those 2 precious energies at this point to be able to attack with the Roaring Moon. Whereas he could have potentially a fully loaded up Galarian MoltresV here. Or at this point, maybe a Roaring Moon on the bench.
Yeah, it probably would have been a Roaring Moon.
So, again, but now Connor forced to retreat, paying 2, retreating to the Radiant Greninja, and he's going to have to hope for a lot more.
But this is not going to do it. Escape Rope's going to be able to close things up. Escape Rope resets that Radiant Charizard. Combustion Blast takes the knockout on either of the 2 prize Pokemon on Connor's bench, and just like that, Tyler Mathews up 1-0 here in our round 14.
What a big turn there for Tyler. Again, big Iono really slowing down Connor's board, and again, sometimes when I think of this match, I think of whoever takes the first 2 prizes should be in a winning position, but that, just because you're in a winning position doesn't mean you're going to win the game. You do have many tools at your disposal, just like this Radiant, just like this Moltres attacking with those single prize attackers, forcing your opponent into the odd prize cards, especially like the Radiant Charizard that does big damage, able to knock out something like the Roaring Moon there. Big plays, a lot of fire, a lot of heat coming from Tyler Mathews.
Yeah, and just unfortunate last couple of turns for Connor, that Iono really putting him in a bad position there. And there was really no other option than to promote that Galarian Moltres with the hand the way it was. You needed just a Dark Energy off top, you won the game.
Yes, definitely. If I would probably played it the exact same way. Just try and hope to draw an energy with the Trekking Shoes top deck as well. It gave you 2 more chances as we do see the prizing here. Again, it looks like we're not going to see the Bibarel, but more importantly, Radiant Charizard in the prizing. Luckily, that's a late game card. It's down in the bottom, should be able to draw it. As Connor prizing one of the Galarian MoltresV, we know how important that is in the deck. Luckily, they do play 2, while Mew EX prized as well. Could be a big card, as Tyler is going to start us out. Does have the Entei in the active, is going to be able to Fleet Foot. Draws into the Professor's Research.
Yeah,
I like the sequencing there a little bit. You know, you want to draw into Pokemon, so you Fleet Foot first into the Battle VIP Pass.
Yeah, you always want to try to maximize your odds of drawing the cards that you need. And looking at this hand, I think this is another Squawk and Seize hand. You can go ahead and grab that Squawk ability, maybe the Iron Valiant EX, switch card to it, get 20 damage on the Squawk ability EX. But it's still a little bit awkward, I guess. Switch card, you can discard that Fire Energy, Magma Basin it to the Entei, get prepared for next turn.
I mean, Fleet-footed is a very, very powerful ability. Any ability that draws a card is powerful. But at this point, since you're going first, is there any logic to maybe benching the Spiritomb? Maybe slow down Connor's plays the next turn.
Yeah, we'll have to see if Tyler values that Fleet-footed over the Dire Flame Wings from his opponent. But grabbing the Bidoof here along with the Squawk ability EX, kind of your go-to, right, if you're going first. But I don't think Tyler checked for the B-Barrel before making that decision, and then after grabbing those, it's like, maybe I should check for B-Barrel, and unfortunately, it's prized.
Maybe Tyler's just going to believe that he will eventually draw into that B-Barrel. But right now, again, yeah, I have to agree, that Bidoof just not really doing that much here. Isn't going to be doing that much in the foreseeable future, in any case.
So maybe one thing I like is benching the Spiritomb, switch card to the Spiritomb, and then Squawk and Seize. You can use your Magma Basin, and you already used Fleetfoot for the turn, so you don't really need it. And if Connor does get a turn 1 attack off, it's going to be into the Spiritomb most likely.
Yep, that's for sure. As we do see the Fleet-footed, just like you said, sending the Fire Energy into the discard pile. What else do they need to draw here? They do draw into an Iron Valiant and then Energy attached for turn as well. So they should have an Entei ready to go this next turn. As we do see the Magma Basin being played, putting 20 damage on that Entei.
Yeah, Squawk and Seize is just a powerful ability for both of these decks, really. And being able to just refresh your hand on this turn 1 where you can't play supporters. And look at that, 2 energy on the EnteiV, Future Booster Energy Capsule on that Iron Valiant EX. And Connor's going to have to put in a lot of work with this Trekking Shoes, because that hand needs a Dark Pokemon on the bench. Oh, Radiant Greninja off the top is pretty good.
We'll take a Water Pokemon, as Radiant Greninja is going onto the bench again. One of the most powerful Pokemon in the game, being able to discard a card. Draw 2, does get the double Roaring Moon. Okay.
Double Roaring Moon's pretty good here, but you're going to have to discard it least one of these Dark Patch in your hand. And having the Pokemon Catcher is not too bad.
We could play the Pokemon Catcher right now. Is again, Spiritomb is not the most ideal target. Hopeful thinking, since we're going to lose it anyway, more of a lose it or use it type of scenario, as we do see the Pokemon Catcher being played. Here we go. Tails, unfortunately. So Spiritomb does stay in the active, as, again, we do have 2 Roaring Moon Professor's Research. We get at least one of the Dark Patches out, and we're going to have to see what we get on the other side of this Professor's Research. We also have the Squawk and Seize to work with as well. Is there ever a world you Squawk and Seize instead of Research, Jeremy?
That's rough, but I think you research first and then try to Squawk and Seize after. But both are kind of just, you're going to be using both of them. Might as well try to figure it out. And this hand would be pretty good to play down your cards, Squawk and Seize, but with that Spiritomb in play, it's going to shut off that Galarian MoltresV in Connor's hand, and it's going to make this turn 1 attack even harder.
Big Pokestop here does get the Ultra Ball and the Energy Switch, but again, because Galarian Moltres isn't active, or cannot be used, the Dire Flame Wings ability cannot be used, Energy Switch doesn't feel as good now, as without another Dark Patch, there is not going to be an attack this turn.
And that is that power of that Fettered in Misfortune ability, just shutting down the one card in Connor's deck.
Actually, I do see an Ultra Ball in hand. They could go for something like a Morpeko and Energy Switch into it, attack.
That is true, yeah.
Could get an attack that way.
But with an attachment on that Roaring Moon EX on the bench, we might just see a Squawk and Seize after this Ultra Ball, but Morpeko is definitely an out to getting a knockout. But again, you're getting a 1 prize knockout, but you are also promoting a 1 prizer for Tyler to knock out.
If anything, I think that's the ideal attacker. That's the ideal scenario, but Morpeko does only have 70 HP. Connor could be looking into playing around a couple of Iron Valiant pings and the Medicham V, the Yoga Loop. Definitely don't want to give your opponent an extra turn there, as we do see an Ultra Ball being played. Morpeko is actually right in front there. Definitely was an option.
And
still could be.
It's still an option just because with the switch cart in hand, you can switch cart to the Morpeko, Squawk and Seize. If you find a Dark Patch, you can go ahead and Dark Patch and then attack with the Roaring Moon. But again, I don't know if you want to attack with the Roaring Moon into the Spiritomb, because it's most likely going to get knocked out by a couple Tachyon Bits and that Burning Rondo.
Especially if our board is looking bigger and bigger, as if you put down a 4th Pokemon in play, that's just more damage on the Burning Rondo. Looks like it is going to be the Morpeko. And again, would have loved to see the energy attachment come to that Morpeko. Has an amazing attack with the Energizer Wheel. Does 70 damage, and it moves the energy from itself to one of your bench Pokemon, essentially conserving the energy. Almost feels like the most ideal attacker for Roaring Moon here, as, again, we do have the switch card. It has free retreat as well, as long as it has no energy attached, thanks to In a Hungry Hurry.
Great ability name.
Pokemon just top notch with those ability and attack names.
All right, Morpeko does hit the bench. We're going to see Escape Rope here. All right, I did not see that in hand. So this is going to allow Tyler to promote that Bidoof, which is another 1 prize Pokemon. And with the B-Barrel in the prizes, I think he's fine letting this go.
That's definitely not too bad. And I think just very heads-up play to have two basic non-rule box Pokemon to ensure that you're not giving up 2 prizes this turn, as Squawk and Seize now play, does find a Battle VIP pass. Again, just want to remind everyone, this is still Connor's first turn of the game. So a Battle VIP pass is still live. Can find themselves any Pokemon they want, but do they have a Dark Patch?
The bigger news is Connor did find a Dark Patch off the Squawk and Seize.
But do you attack here? Does go for the Earthen Vessel to get a couple more energies into hand. Again, I think the Spiritomb is just putting in the work. Just Connor's having to hop through so many of these loops. Whereas
these yoga loops?
Yes, where he could have just gone Dire Flame Wings, Energy Switch, or very early on. As, there we go, we do see the Dark Patch being played attached to that Roaring Moon. And we are going to see
the retreat here. That's surprising. Calamity Storm's going to be able to take the knockout. Connor's going to leave the stadium in play, but that's going to help Tyler out because there's a lot of items in Tyler's deck that he can find off this Pokestop.
That is true, especially a couple of switch cards would definitely help out. Right now, there's only one Iron Valiant in play. That means there's only 20 extra damage. I believe Tyler would have to at least bench 2.
Yeah, well, that was a perfect draw there, and that Ultra Ball be able to get rid of the Escape Rope and Professor's Research in hand, find another Iron Valiant, and then guess what card's left in hand? Professor's Research.
It's one of those high five moments here for Tyler. I wonder if Connor's going to go for that high five.
Never.
Yeah, the table's pretty big.
Yeah.
But yeah, big Professor's Research. Love to see it. The perfect discard. Absolutely nothing. Draw 7 cards. And we're going to have to see what Tyler draws here. He's going to need at least 2 switching options that don't force the Roaring Moon into the bench. So that's Switch Cart and Switch. And I do see his 1 switch card.
For Seal Stone. There's a switch as well. I think he's going to be able to cobble this together. Switch card also heals the 20 damage off of the Entei, which is very important against the Calamity Storm. Kind of force Connor into a frenzied gouging scenario. And I think there's an Ultra Ball to find the other Iron Valiant here.
Could
or even
be
just
a second,
bench Pokemon in general.
Yes. Could be a second Entei potentially. Or wouldn't it be opposed to even just bench the Moltres? We've seen how
that is true, yeah.
How helpful that was in the past, as we're just going to see a retreat here onto the second Iron Valiant. And that's going to be 40 damage onto that Roaring Moon. And it's going to be the Ultra Ball discarding the Technical Machine Devolution, and the Moltres going to find themselves either another Iron Valiant or the Entei. Could also find maybe the Radiant Charizards. Oh no, it's in the prizes.
Yeah, I think EnteiV is going to be the option here. Try to set up that for the next turn, essentially.
I think Tyler might be looking for that Bibarel. No, luckily the Bidoof was knocked out for a sec. But yeah, it looks like it is going to be... Didn't quite see. He put something on top.
Yeah, EnteiV, and then I think he's already kind of skipping ahead to this Forest Seal Stone for potentially a Professor's Research. Granted, Research was already played this turn, so it's just going to be for next turn. But has the switch in hand along with an energy and playing out everything to take this knockout.
And it is a big knockout. We know how much resources Connor had to put onto that Roaring Moon only to take a single prize, while Tyler here just able to just gonna swing in return after a couple of takedown bits. Oh, is gonna go ahead and Pokestop first.
All right, there's so many items in the deck that it's a little unlikely, but discards that Medicham V and Iono, but does find a Hisuian Heavy Ball. Can go ahead and use that to grab that Radiant Charizard from the prize cards.
Definitely a good Pokemon to get, especially since, you can only have 1 Radiant Pokemon in the deck, and this is a big one. We know how important it is to just do 250 damage with a single prize Pokemon, but we're going to have to wait a couple of turns. But we'll have to see here what else Tyler can do. I think they played down their hand completely, and it's just going to be the Burning Rondo for the knockout there. Yeah. Tyler going down to 4.
I would have loved to see that Forest Seal Stone be attached to that bench EnteiV. Kind of Judge or Iono-proof your hand, even though I think if Connor plays with Judge or Iono, you're fine with that. That's not a Professor Sada's. That's charging up a Roaring Moon.
Oh, as we do see the Judge drawn there by Connor, but again, we're going to need a bit. We're going to need double Dark Patch attach.
Oh, that's going to be a little tough. There's 3 gone.
That is true. So what can we do here, Jeremy?
Maybe cry a little, but no. It's definitely going to be risky. Connor kind of wanted to knock out that Spirit Tomb turn 1. Unfortunately, the way it is, but Galarian MoltresV is just such a lifeline for this deck to be able to get those energies back again and again each turn. Utilize your energy switch. Other than that, you're playing with a lot of cards that don't really do much.
As we do find at least 1 Dark Patch, well, the last Dark Patch of the deck with the Pokestop. Again, it's just the nature of this deck. Again, popularized by Ross Cawthon, really cutting a couple of Professor Sadas in and putting in a couple of researches, adding consistency, but you're losing the power of energy acceleration Sada provides. And it really shows here in this match that how important that 1 card could be. And again, Connor here just going through the options. Still has an attachment for, oh no, it's going to be the Stadium bump potentially. No, it's going to be an attachment onto the Morpeko.
Yeah, it might be Dark Patch, Energy Switch to the Morpeko, get some damage down on either of these Pokemon, maybe even
Catch
for
for the Spirit
Seal
Tomb?
Stone for the boss's orders on the Spirit Tomb. But here, yeah, just conserving the resources, dealing 70 damage with Energizer Wheel. But this is going to open up a pretty big turn for Tyler if he has it.
He has 4 Seal Stones, so he could potentially have anything they want from the deck, but needs a couple more pieces as Pokestop provides at least one of those pieces with the switch. So to be ordered, to be able to hit Roaring Moon for knockout here, I don't think, is it possible?
I don't think he has it. Needed 2 switching outs off of that Pokestop to be able to really pull it off. Can switch to the Iron Valiant, get 20 on it, and then retreat to the other Iron Valiant, get 20 on it. Then you would need another switch out, and then for a Seal Stone for that boss's orders. Not going to be in the cards for Tyler here, but still in a very good position.
Does go for the switch onto the Iron Valiant with the tool. Free 20 damage here does go into the Roaring Moon. Next, what is going to be the decision? Could just be for Seal Stone, possibly for research.
I also just like for a Seal Stone for potentially a boss's orders, bring up the Squawk ability, take the knockout. That way you just put yourself to 2 prize cards, and a simple knockout on that Roaring Moon would be game over. But Tyler, again, just taking it slow, not even attaching that for a Seal Stone yet. Really afraid of something like a Lost Vacuum, but that's not a card we really see in a deck like Roaring Moon.
That's true, as one card we do see in these new Roaring Moon decks are the Hand Disruption, as Connor should be able to play at least a Judge this turn, as again, Connor just going through the resources that have been played by Tyler, maybe counting how many switches have been played already, as they are going to opt to, I like just a Judge, don't play the Town Store Stadium, not give Tyler access to a Forest Seal Stone again, as again, Judge being played, the great equalizer. Both players shuffle their hands, draw 4 cards apiece.
Yeah, well, either way, you're going to be discarding the Stadium at the end of this turn with Calamity Storm. So you're going to be denying Tyler that Pokestop no matter what. But again, just kind of conserving the resources for yourself. The Pokestop's a little bit better to use after this Judge.
As we do see...
Wow, this is like the same hand he just shuffled back in.
A couple of Stadiums, the Energy Switch, and a Battle VIP Pass. Is going to have to depend on the Pokestop to get a little bit more out of this. No, we're not spinning. We're just going for the Calamity Storm for the knockout. Connor goes down to 3 prizes. Let's see if Tyler has the response. Again, there is 20 damage onto that Roaring Moon. Connor's bench is looking very bare. Only 2 Pokemon in play, so could mitigate the damage on the Burning Rondo from the EnteiV. As Tyler draws their card, does have the Escape Rope. Could promote... I think this is a great Escape Rope. Either Pokemon knocked out here would be great. It's a little bit easier to hit 130 HP or 160, and since you're in the odd prize anyway, might as well take a meaningful knockout.
Yeah, right now the Burning Rondo is going to be doing 140 damage, so that's enough to take a knockout on this Radiant Greninja. But Tyler debating where to put this 20 damage. Going to be on that Roaring Moon. Had the option to Escape Rope yet again, but decided not to after like a retreat. And just a Professor's Research, try to find some more cards. No energy and no Magma Base in here is going to be very tough.
Does find the Radiant Charizard, so that is pretty easy to power up later down the line, but
not
I
right
think
now.
we're missing missing an attack for the turn, though.
Yeah, this is best case scenario for Connor here. Has survived through an attack and now can kind of go up on the prize cards here. Tyler's going to bring up that Spiritomb just to have it get knocked out potentially next turn, but there's a boss's orders in Connor's hand.
There's a boss's orders, but no way to switch out just yet.
Now we got the town store. Maybe you can work something out. No Galarian Moltres yet, but there's the Mew in hand.
I think this is the point. This is the point. There's damage on the Roaring Moon. We can just go wide. I agree with the Pokestop. Let's Connor here just going through how many energies they've gone through. Again, it might just have to be the Pokestop. Pokestop for the switch cart, or even the Earthen Vessel. Maybe try and attach, retreat. Oh, could even go for the dark patch. You have the energy switch in hands. A lot of live cards here for Connor.
Yeah, well, I think the one-of switch card was used to bring up that Morpeko, so not going to have access to that. Looking through the list, other than the escape rope, which I also think was played that turn 1, so there's no switch out. Going to have to rely off of an energy here. Discards 2 tools. That's not going to be able to go to the hand. Just an Ultra Ball. And, oh, this is kind of a little awkward because you already played your Stadium for the turn. Could have Ultra Balled for the Galarian MoltresV, then Town Store for the Forest Seal Stone, but you got the Ultra Ball off the Pokestop, so now you can't even play the Stadium for the turn.
There was just no way that we were getting that combination of cards. As Ultra Ball is going to be played here, could find the Galarian MoltresV at the very least, just as a bench sitter to just in case we draw into. There's no Galarian MoltresV.
Yeah, probably in the prize cards, and one was discarded early on with the Ultra Ball on turn 1. Yeah, look at that. So no real access to even use that Forest Seal Stone if he got it. And I think we're just going to have another pass of the turn from Connor here.
Talk about droughts here. Energy drought for both players.
TCG Masters, that is time and round.
Okay, we can maybe thin the hand down for Mew EX here. You can energy switch the energy off the Roaring Moon to the Greninja.
You're going to have to do that anyway. Oh, yeah. And then just draw into an energy?
Yeah, I think that's where it's going to have to be. Is that a Pokemon cat? No, that's the Town Stores. Yeah, so not using the energy switch. Finds the energy off the top of the deck. So we're going to have an attack this turn, but you're still attacking into a Spiritomb. You're going to need to take the knockout no matter what, but wow.
What a top deck here for Connor. Again, taking out the Spiritomb means you could have access to the Galarian MoltresV in the future now and put you to an even prizing. And we know for a fact Tyler Mathews had a weaker hand. He didn't have the energy yet to attack, to respond. So this is going to be a big attack. The problem is, what do we do afterwards? Is that a Pokemon catcher? No, it's a boss's orders.
So bringing up that Radiant Charizard, one of the ways for Tyler to take an easy knockout, discards the Pokestop, and now with just 8 bench Pokemon in play, going to be doing 180 damage.
Jeremy, we're going to see a card that hasn't been played in a minute here as Serena is the play, able to discard 3 cards and draw up to 5. Again, Serena is one of those cards where you have the option to either discard your hand, discard up to 3 cards, draw up to 5, or it's essentially a boss's orders for V cards. In this scenario, we do want to draw those cards as Tyler does find themselves at least the double turbo energy.
Yeah, I think with the double turbo, the math isn't going to work out quite how you'd like it. You're going to be doing 180, and that's going to leave this Roaring Moon with 10 left. You do have the 4 Seal Stone, though. So you can 4 Seal Stone for a Fire Energy or the Magma Basin. Never really what you want to do, but if you take the knockout on this Roaring Moon, I don't know if Connor can get another attacker set up.
It's going to be tough. Actually, without any access to Dire Flame Wings or Dark Patch, even with a Sada, it doesn't get there. As we do see the 4 Seal Stone being played, half a Starbirth here, is going to be able to find 1 card. Again, I believe Connor should be at 2 prizes here. Yes, so they are essentially 1 knockout away from winning this game, but...
Yeah, you have to 4 Seal Stone for that Fire Energy, but this is going to allow EnteiV to take the knockout exactly how you were trying to line it up. And with that, you still have 230 HP. That's going to be very hard for, even if Connor gets a Roaring Moon set up, to be able to take the knockout outside of Frenzied Gouging.
As we do see here, Burning Rondo for the knockout, 200 damage thanks to the amount of bench Pokemon. And Connor promotes the Mew, free retreat, does draw the card, finds the boss's orders. Not much else.
Yeah, not going to really be able to do too much. You can Earthen Vessel for maybe the 1 energy left in your deck. And then the boss's orders up an Iron Valiant EX to hopefully strand it in the active spot. Not even an energy left in the deck. This is not going to be good for Connor here. And it looks like Tyler is going to be able to eventually lock things down this game too.
Can we even attack at this point? There's no more Dark Patches. You have 1 Seda in the deck. No more energy. You don't play Rod.
Yeah, no, it's not looking like we're going to get another attack from Connor this game.
Even if you had 1 energy, could at least attack possibly with a Squawk ability,
yeah,
as well as motivate your Roaring Moon to attack. But
well, now Connor just has to hope that the deck that has 14 retreat options. Tyler does not draw into it next turn. Restart here is going to do a little bit. You can find that Pokemon Catcher, Battle VIP Pass. Not going to do it. We see that double Turbo Energy in hand. That's going to be enough. Or switch with that boss's orders. And just like that, Tyler Mathews winning our round 14, going to 11-1-2, almost guaranteeing this top 8. Like we've been